Tsogo Sun owns Sun International hotels and a number of gaming venues, including Monte Casino north of Johannesburg. It has a market cap of 28.4 billion rand. Tsogo Sun's key shareholders are Hoskin Consolidated Investments and ABSA Miller. Tsogo Sun has a price-to-earnings ratio of 15 and a dividend yield of 3%. Before I go to you, Paul, I'd like to start off with Chris. What do you make of Tsogo Sun right now? We had some rather impressive results out from this company.
Great results, and I think it just underlines what I was saying earlier. This is a company that spews out an awful lot of cash. A very well structured company. It's the biggest. It's got the biggest hotel operation in South Africa with Southern Sun. I know the Protea guys might disagree with that, but in terms of a wholly owned operation where they have full management control of it, they are the biggest. And they're here and in many parts of Africa as well. I think it's a very cleverly structured organisation. And again, very much below the radar. They don't make a big song and dance about things. They just get on quietly. And you know, they're part of the All-Share Top 40 these days, and a super set of results.
Paul, what did you make of Tsogo Sun?
Well, I was quite touched by that comment you made earlier about gambling in this country and its history, because as you say, if you remember back, the nationalists were, big religious conservatives, so they didn't allow gambling. And then they caught this idea from America, where the Red Indians, Native Americans, had the casinos in their reservations. So then they thought, well, that's brilliant. Let's put casinos in the homelands. So then you had them in places like Garankuwa and Bophuthatswana and so on and so forth. And people used to go up there for some sort of fancy living. And then that all changed, and then they allowed casinos to come into the sort of metropoles, the new government. But then they coupled it with sort of entertainment destination locations. So after many years of restructuring and reorganizing, with tightly regulated gaming, we now have these big casinos like Monte Casino and Grand West and so on. So they make good money, but you have a sense that it's a sort of an empire in decline, because there's online gaming and there's sports betting, which are two things that are taking people who like to gamble away from the casinos. And you sense almost that the casinos have become more sort of like destination locations, where you go to Monte Casino to soak up that cultured sort of indoor Italians theme. I'm being slightly facetious. Or maybe you go to Gold Reef City. There's that kind of feel, and there's a lot of concerts and theatre type of activity happening there. So are they a good investment? Well, it depends how well organized they are. Tsogo Sun's got a young, dynamic, good-looking CEO, Marcel Fanoluk. They look like they're kind of doing this thing now with the merged operation well, and I guess I do like the tourism angle. So I'm not that negative on them. They're doing well, and you can see the results have come out now. People are beginning to get used to the idea, I think, of where their earnings are going to be, and it's higher than they thought before.
So it's not an empire in decline then, Chris?
I don't think so. I agree entirely with what Paul is saying. When you go to Monte Casino, you see things like the bird garden, for example, and until you've been there, you think, the bird garden, but it's actually fantastic. It really is. It's well worth going to see. So don't get me wrong, I'm not an ambassador for Tsogo Sun by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's a very, very well structured organisation, turns out a lot of cash, and I think also, carrying from what Paul was saying, as you start getting foreign tourism gathering a bit more pace, which I think we're starting to see now, I think companies like Tsogo will do very well out of it.
So Paul, hot or not?
Look, if you like the business travel hotel sort of thing, you can always buy a city lodge. You don't have to come here. Also remember, these guys don't always own the buildings. They normally have the hotel operating license, and some other pension fund actually owns the rooms. So I'm not a big fan of the gambling thing, so I'm going to go with not hot, but I understand this is certainly a well-run operation, but not hot. No, not hot.
Chris, hot or not, Tsogo Sun?
I've always liked this one. No, I'm hot on it. I like this.
So one hot and one not on Tsogo Sun.